Subscribe or they will haunt you. What's an industry secret in the field you work in? No one really knows 100% of what they're doing. This should be the last thing they teach you before you leave high school/college. Sometimes people won't have the answer, even at the biggest companies. They'll look to you, and you'll need to solve it. And it probably won't be right the first time. But they'll be happy you did it, so they can build upon the foundation you started. Healthcare. Homecare. If your grandparent or parent gets in home care, please know that your family member could live in a cockroach-infested house and not have to move if they didn't want to. It's not up to the company to give your loved ones environmentally safe places to live. It's up to the family. They can certainly try to persuade, but they can't force. Why do I know this? Because I've been to the cockroach-infested house where an 80-year-old woman lives. I have a mentally ill client that put bleach in his dog's water to help with its breath. I have a client who never cleans his cat box. I have a client who has a caved-in ceiling. I've called it in, but there is no help from the company. All they say is, there's nothing we can do. It's up to the family members. It's a sad thing, because there are so many family members and friends who really don't give a shit how some people are living. Sure, they'll visit. But do they clean the litter box? Do they make sure there are no cockroaches? Do they make sure the house is stable and not falling apart? Nope. They say they care and that they love the person, but they don't care enough to make sure they live in a healthy environment. It really worries me, because if I imagine my own mother having such a deteriorated mind, and there were no other family members to help her, she could live in a rundown, cockroach-infested house if she was stubborn enough. It frustrates me, because whereas the client does have rights, should they really have the right to live somewhere where their health could be at risk? Where their caregivers could be at risk as well? Whenever you tell someone to check in the back of a grocery store, they go back there and stand for a few moments and come back out. 99% of the time of it's not on the shelf, we are out, but we know you won't believe us, so we go look for it, so you feel a bit better, even though we already knew there was none back there. The kind donations people give hoping they go directly to the clients in shelters actually end up at the Salvation Army or Goodwill to be resold. Even though we are instructed to tell them that won't be the case. And this is done before the clients are even given the chance to decide if they want some of the donated stuff. Oftentimes the items are incredibly fancy that most people won't wear. An abundance of items in not common sizes, gross/torn clothing, etc. People think they are doing a really awesome thing by donated. But for the staff it is often a burden and unusable. Some people even donate literal trash. The rule of thumb is, if you wouldn't wear it or use it, why would you expect others to? Like old pots and pans for an example. Sounds like a great thing to donate, but if they are gross and unusable, why would you expect somebody else to? Auto insurance agent. Please, for the love of God, don't tell auto insurance agents more than you have to. They ask you a question. Just say "yes" or "no" and answer the question as straight as you can. If you go on and on about your life story, you will probably end up saying something you don't have to, and making your rate higher, or getting yourself declined. We want to get you that policy as cheap as possible. Only tell us what we need to know, and don't say anything else. The fruits and veggies you buy at the grocery store, wash them. There are people that don't wash fruit and vegetables from the store before eating them. Also, I highly recommend not putting something you intend to eat directly on the conveyor belt at the register. That thing is not necessarily sanitary. People put money and sneeze on it all the time. I work in a grocery store and never put food directly on the belt. I'm a dentist. Here's a lowdown on toothpaste. As long as it has fluoride, they are all basically the same. When I was in dental school, the Colgate lady came by and said that everything that says Colgate Total on it is all exactly the same. The only difference is the packaging. So whether it says whitening, or gum protection, or whatever else, it is all exactly the same. The exception is sensitivity. Toothpaste typically does have an extra active ingredient, No3, which helps with sensitivity. Don't ever feel obligated to buy the expensive toothpaste because you think it will be better for your teeth. Just buy whatever you like best. I'm a musician. It's not really a secret, but 90% of our revenue is from merch. Spotify plays, show guarantees, etc. Everything is menial in comparison to shirt sales. In fact, a big reason bands tour as often as possible is because we can sell more shirts when we are in front of people. Former industry, commercial radio. It's never caller 5. It's the caller who sounds best on air. I won something on the radio once. The lady DJ called me back on a few minutes. She forgot to record the call. She told me to act excited. It was hilarious. She blamed it on being pregnant, said she had lost her mind. Firefighters are trained on several areas and can specialize deeper into certain disciplines. Most of the emergencies we get called to are situations we have never been trained on. But with 4 of us on a fire truck, we can normally figure out a solution. Weight loss industry. This might be obvious, but most of our business comes from return clients after they've gained their weight back, and then some. To be clear, the plan isn't rigged to make you gain it back, but the fact that it happens easily as a result of dieting keeps us in business. A huge portion of online reviews, ratings, social media presence, etc. that you see for any given company are fake, paid for, or done by multiple accounts controlled by us. This includes a company's Glassdoor page, fake reviews about how great it is to work there, so that the million negative reviews don't crush their page. I'm not saying it's every company out there, but it's been a lot of the ones I've worked for. Source: am copywriter. What are ethics? I surely don't know anymore. Construction boy here. If your windows or sliding doors are tough to open and close 9 times out of 10, we put your own dish soap on tracks and the thing works perfectly. It takes 5 minutes and we charge $150. Dish soap people, it's better than WD-40 sometimes. Literally not 5 minutes ago I was closing the slider in my bedroom thinking back, quote, it's time I finally look up solutions to make this thing glide easier. So I hopped on the internet, naturally got distracted by Reddit first, and now here we are. So serendipitous. Not an industry I work in per se, but I used to be in a sales role. One of my customers was a milk bottling plant. I was somewhat surprised that they were putting the exact same milk in both organic and non-organic cartons. Turns out all of their milk is organic, but in order to not miss out on the sales of non-organic milk, they just bottle them differently and sell them at different prices. This one is both startling and interesting. I was working for a large specialized manufacturer where virtually every order for parts/service would be in the tens of thousands of dollars, with the average order closer to $1 million. A customer needed to purchase 4 bolts. Just normal steel bolts. Person following internal guidelines tacked on all this overhead. Bolts came up to several $1,000s. The employee had no idea what bolts cost and assumed the guidelines were right. The customer, not being an idiot, kept pushing back. This went on for several months. Eventually it got escalated high up in our company to someone who had the authority to approve $1 billion in spending, who was being asked to intervene on 4 bolts. I was a native speaker and the company was not a native English speaking one, so this eventually fell to me as I got forwarded months of correspondence. It went something like this. Employee, here is the estimate for the 4 bolts. Customer, here is a link to 4 bolts of the same size for $20 with shipping. Employee, our bolts are $10,000. Customer, yes, but why are they $10K? We need to purchase from you to maintain our warranty, but we cannot understand the price difference. Employee, here is a technical sheet for the bolt. Customer, yes, I agree they are bolts. This does not explain why they are $10K. Employee, here is a technical document from R&D describing the features of the bolt. Customer, yes, we know how bolts work. This does not explain why they are $10K. Employee, I have negotiated with my manager. We are willing to sell you the bolts for $8K. Customer, again, these are 4 bolts. They should not cost anywhere near that much. Employee, we have given you a $2K discount and are no longer making profit. I cannot offer you a larger discount. Customer, these are 4 bolts that cannot cost you more than a few dollars to make. How can you not be making profit on this? Your company has wasted more time and cost on this correspondence than it would have cost to just send the 4 bolts in an envelope. Bolt cost? Less than $1 for all 4 of them. I sent them for free and had to justify the $8K loss to management. Thankfully the management was not quite as dumb as the employee wasting 3 months of their time on back and forth about a bolt. I seriously wonder how much time was wasted creating documentation to justify the price of this bolt. There was a department-wide email afterwards explaining how bolts work and that they should not cost as much. No change to the overhead policy for small orders though. This should be pretty obvious. But for big brand hotels, if you try to sneak above the hotel and call the corporate customer care line to demand compensation/complain, that customer care line will always call the hotel for the full story and not just blindly give compensation. When I used to work in a hotel, we would call the customer care line preemptively if a guest was acting up and we thought they'd demand compensation for something stupid. We'd get our story on record first. X happened. We offered Y. Guest refused and got angry and rarely got charged, even if the guest was compensated by customer care. Scientists, we disagree with one another a lot more often than the media would often lead you to believe. The reason we are good at our jobs though is that, ideally, we like disagreeing with each other, and we are able to move on when proven wrong. It's a part of the job. Edit. To the dude who gave me some random award and messaged me saying, Trump 2020, you're in a shat. Scientists can disagree, but what that man is doing to America by not just pushing us to question science, but to actively oppose it is simply beyond the pale. And I'd be failing my personal morals as a scientist if I didn't full-throatedly say it is not normal and it is not okay.